So today we're going to talk about why does it hurt so much? And of course it means your emotions, your feelings. Why is there so much pain and discomfort when certain people say certain things? Like you can see somebody else go, what is wrong with you? And the other person doesn't seem to be like, what? I don't know what you're talking about. And they don't seem to be affected at all. But somebody says that to me, and it's like, oh my God, what did I do? And I go into this flurry of thought processes in my mind. And so I get a question a lot from clients. Why does it hurt so much? And the answer is that we're stuck, and we're stuck in a certain pattern of emotions. And if we don't or won't or can't evolve out of those emotions, then we're going to stay stuck there. The biggest problem is we're not taught how to process that information. How do I stop long enough and say, what just happened? Why do I feel that way? Where did that come from? It's usually just a really big reaction of, oh my God, I'm so upset. I'm so upset. I hurt, I hate them. And we go into these crazy mind thoughts of why they're bad and wrong and why we're right. They shouldn't have said those things. If only they wouldn't, right? So the whole process is, again, thoughts that we have that we're keeping a hold of. So it's like that pattern, but we're blaming somebody else that we have that. Now that may feel right in the moment. I mean, if they had not have said those words to you, you would not be feeling bad. If they gave you the respect you think you deserve, you would not feel bad. If they treated you more worthy, then you would feel better, right? If they did things that helped you to feel like you matter, you would feel better. So it's like when we look at all those things, it's like we can't get everybody else to do what works for us. So what is going on within inside of us that we can change that will actually create a situation where our lives get better and better? So I see there's a couple of people on. Please feel free to share a question, a thought, tell me where you're from so I can kind of keep track of things. That would be really, really great. I'd appreciate it. So why does it hurt so much? Comes from a place of a long time ago. It could have been a caregiver. And please don't think that I am blaming your parents. I'm not. But sometimes parents say things they don't mean to. Sometimes it's innocuous, like they're a, say, introvert and you're an extrovert and they're like, calm down, calm down. Or it could be they're an extrovert and you're an introvert and you want to stay home and say, play with your dolls, or play with your toys, sorry, and, or read a book. And what happens is they're like, no, let's go to the party, right? And they're trying to drag you out. And that's innocuous in the sense that they're getting their needs met. They're not thinking about you, but there's no intention. But there are sometimes our parents say really kind of terrible things to us, things that I think if they realized the damage they were doing, they would never have said it. Like, what is wrong with you? And why can't you be more like so-and-so? And like, oh my God, you're so stupid. I can't believe you spilt the milk or whatever it is. And they say these things and we take them and we hold on to them like internally and for a long time. And it's very, very painful. The unfortunate part is that gets stored in the unconscious, subconscious, semi-conscious parts of our brain. So it's not like right in front of us. I'm not going, oh, what is that? That made me feel so sad or upset, or why does it hurt? I'm just going, oh my God, I'm in pain. So while it's stuck back there in this other region of your mind, you cannot fix it, change it, handle it, process it, work with it, manipulate it, shift it, or anything like that. It's stuck in a place that you don't see. But every now and again, say watching a video like this, where I can ask you a very poignant question, like, are you the type of person that even though you've accomplished a lot, you never quite feel good enough? If you can answer yes to that question, like you just brought that information from the back into the front and you said, oh my God, that does sound like me. Now we can take a look at that and it's in the conscious part of your brain. And that makes it so much easier to figure out how to move beyond it. You may ask yourself a question, or I can ask you a question like, do you often feel disrespected, imposed upon, rejected, or feelings of abandonment? If the answer to that is like, oh my God, I do. We may not have noticed it before, but now it's like right in front of us. Now we can take a look at that. And if that is you, go ahead, write down the word so that you can like keep it in the front of your mind, in the conscious part of your brain, so that now you will be able to start seeing things that help you process that information. So what I'd like to do is take a few moments and go through 10 questions. Like I'm literally going to ask you 10 questions. I don't care if you count on your fingers or if you want to, tick a mark or whatever. But I'm going to ask you to count how many yeses you have as I ask you these questions. Okay. I'll explain all about what those mean at the end of this. So I'm going to ask the questions. It won't take but a minute or two. Here we go. Again, if the answer is yes, just tick it, or else. Hi, Starbright Vicky. Oh, hi, Vicky. Okay, I remember you from New Zealand. Nice. Okay, so what we're doing is 10 questions. Figure out how many of these are yeses. Other people can make me angry easily, even if I don't show it. I often feel shame and or guilt. Hi, Patty Mays. I often feel concerned I will disappoint other people. Check yes or no. I often feel like it is my job to fix other people or their problems. Number 5, when things go wrong, I feel like it's my fault. Number 6, I do not believe families need boundaries with each other. It's not important because we're family. Number 7, when I enter a romantic relationship, now some of us have been in them for a long time, but try to think back a long time ago. If I enter into a romantic relationship, I will abandon my friends and activities so I can focus on that person. Number 8, I often feel like I have to be perfect or I won't be loved. Number 9, when I'm upset, I have a hard time naming my feelings and or my unmet need or needs. And the last one is, I find it easier for me to meet other people's needs rather than my own. Okay, so that was all 10 questions or statements that you were answering yes or no to. So figure out how many you answered yes to. And I'm going to say if you answered yes to 1 or 2, you may have this minimal discomfort. But for most of us that had, I'm going to call it what it is, a toxic type of a childhood where we didn't connect emotionally with one or both of our parents, or a situation where we felt unloved, unwanted, undeserving, unworthy, those would be fall under the category of unloved or a toxic childhood. So if you answered yes to these, I'm just going to guess, I don't know because I don't know you. Patty says 1. Congratulations, Patty. If you guys want to go ahead and put the amount that you ticked in there, go for it. I'd love to see. But some of us have had very, very challenging childhoods, very emotionally challenged relationships with our caregivers. And, it's like, it's easy sometimes to see certain ones. Thank you, Vicky. That pop out, like, it's pretty obvious. Maybe dad yelled a lot or, was very hostile, or dad was an alcoholic or something. But then there are other ones that are very subtle, like dad's was very avoidant of his emotions. So he didn't show very much. He may have done things like my dad loved us by fixing things, but he couldn't say, I love you. I don't think I ever heard those words in my life. He couldn't compliment you. There was some terrible fear that he would become super vulnerable and we'd be able to get him if we knew that he loved us. It's crazy. So he would have to show us. So when things like this happen, we have a tendency to have unmet needs. When we have unmet needs and our primary caregivers, which typically for us are our moms and dads, but not always. Sometimes it's grandparents, sometimes it's caregivers, nannies, au pairs, whatever. But those primary caregivers, when they were more busy taking care of themselves and not being able to take care of our needs, we have a lot of unfulfilled stuff going on inside of us. So if we have unfulfilled needs, we're going to try to get those met elsewhere. So a couple of things happen when those go on. I'm having a webinar on the 16th, which is Monday at 10 a.m. I think that the link is in the description. I'll make sure after this is all over to put a link in there if you want to sign up. It's free. It's about an hour long, and I'll talk about things like the drama triangle or the fear triangle, some attachment style stuff, some of the core conflicts like core wounds and core wound triggers that happened in our lives. And let's see. Yes, it takes work to remain in alignment. This is true. It's like I slip back now and again. I do too. It's like we've had decades of the same thoughts going through our minds, right? And then we take a course or we learn something from somebody or something, and we're like, I'm going to apply that. And we do apply it for a while or a little bit, or maybe even for a while. And then something else comes into our lives, and we slip back into the old patterns. It is what we do. But you know what? I just went through a seminar earlier today, and I'm going to talk really quick about 4 things. Now, I've already written on this piece of paper, and I'm not going to start over. Thanks, Patty. That would be great. I would love to have you. I'm not going to start over because I don't want to take that time to do that. But I talk to people about how can we love ourselves more and stop the negative self-talk in our head? How do we stop the what is wrong with you? And you're so stupid. And gosh, I just wish I was more like my brother, sister, cousin, friend, whatever. How do we stop those thoughts from going through our heads? So there's qualities of love that we can use, and I will show you here. There's patience. How can we be patient with ourselves when we have those kinds of thoughts? There's forgiveness. I mean, forgiveness of self. I want to do something, but I screwed up. Just like Patty said, it takes work to remain in alignment. And what happens? I got out of alignment. How do I forgive myself for getting out of alignment and getting back into alignment, or stepping toward another something, the course, or reading a book or whatever? Another one is compassion. I know how to have compassion for other people. Like, oh, I get it. Like you were late because, or, oh, I'm sorry to hear that you had a rough time. I can be compassionate toward them. How can I be compassionate toward myself? The last one is gratitude. Now, gratitude's a tough one unless you've gotten into the habit of being grateful. More often than not, we're being grateful for everything and everyone else. How can I be grateful for myself? Okay. Ignore the little, whoops, what's over here? Ignore the keys. That was part of the story from earlier. So in order for us to be more aware of what's going on so that we can become clear about what the emotions are that are going on inside of us, why they're there, how do we process them? How do we figure out where they came from? What do we do with them once we've done that and we've got it like, okay, I've taken it out of here, I've put it here. Then what? Then what happens? Well, I'm going to go over how to work through that in the popped in. Okay. Patty says, thanks for those 4 because I'm glad you popped back in. So you can go to the link. I'm going to put it, I think it's in this description, but I'll also put it in the comments. And it's called Why Does It Hurt So Much? It's a 1-hour webinar. Monday, the 16th of January at 10 a.m. Central. So I don't know where you are, so please try to figure that out or get with me and I'll help you. And just register and I will send you the Zoom link because it'll be on Zoom, not on Facebook. All right. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. I'll be happy to answer any question you have, either about the webinar itself, if you have a question about that, or about something I talked about today, because we have so much pain in our world and it doesn't have to be that way. We just need a little education. You know, we learned reading, writing, and arithmetic. Oh, hey, Natalie. Oh, I love you too. Thank you for coming in. Patty, I'm glad that you heard a message you needed to hear. But it's like we learned so much in school about reading, writing, and arithmetic and how to get a job and how to stay in a job or how to get a better job and it's job and make more money. But there are certain things about our emotional life, our personal life, that we never learned. And it's mainly because our parents never learned it. So how can they teach us something they don't know? So if our parents didn't teach us and the schools didn't teach us and jobs don't teach us and maybe religious organizations do a little bit and maybe they don't. It just depends on where you go and who you participate with. So it's like we have ultimately relied on other people to give us this information, just as a same way that they've given us food and shelter and water, or reading, writing, and arithmetic, or the rules to the system that I'm engaged in, my job. But nobody's giving us the other piece of this educational system, which is what's going on in our heart and our minds, our emotions, which is what makes our lives better and better. So as we peel through the layers of those onions, life gets better and better. But like Patty said, it takes work to remain in alignment. And it's not always hard work, it's just reminder work. And it's like, oh yes, I forgot that again. And then forgiving myself. And it's like, oh dang, I screwed up. Having compassion for myself as I'm learning something new. So I would love to have you join me so that I can kind of give a whole lot more information in that hour. Check out the link. Please feel free to sign up and reminder work. Yes, ma'am. And I will see you guys next Tuesday at 2 p.m. Central. Bye for now.